We do want to welcome in Jamil Jaffer, now founder and executive director at the National Security Institute, but also he served in the National Security Division at the Justice Department and was an associate counsel to President George W. Bush. Jamil, it's always good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Natasha.
So the indictment says that the documents found in Trump's possession contain top secret information about our nuclear program, our military readiness, among other things. In your opinion, just how potentially dangerous is it to show that type of information to people without the proper clearance?
Well, you know, Natasha, it's obviously unlawful to show any classified information to the people without the proper clearance. It's inappropriate and unlawful to retain documents when you don't have a clearance, as the president did not have once he left office. And these particular documents, these aren't just top secret documents. 10 of the documents were what's called sensitive compartmented information. That's a sort of above top secret. And then another 8 were what are called special access programs. That's even more sensitive. We're talking about very sensitive collection capabilities, potentially sensitive human sources, and very sensitive information. And so, you know, this is the kind of stuff that's at the heart of America's system of classifying information and protecting it. And just regular top secret information, if it's released, is required to cause exceptionally grave harm. That's what you have to demonstrate in order to classify something top secret, much less SCI, compartmented, or special access program material. So that's how dangerous and how critically important these documents are.
So just to understand, is this the highest tier, some of these documents that we're talking about, the highest tier in terms of sensitivity?
That's exactly right. You'll see in the indictment, 8 documents are the very markings, the very classified markings themselves are redacted because the markings themselves, a set of 3 or 4 letters, are so sensitive that compartment can't be revealed publicly. That's the kind of documents we're talking about. Now, there were 102 that were found, Natasha. 31 are charged in the indictment. 8 of them have those SAP, Special Access Program materials.
Okay, and we spoke to Mick Mulvaney earlier this evening. He says there was no actual harm to the country detailed within the indictment, no national security threat. Do you agree with that?
I think that's totally wrong. The fact that you're keeping these materials outside of a SCIF, a sensitive compartmented information facility, the fact they were stored in the open, in the ballroom, we have no idea who went into that room. We have no idea there were thousands of people that transited through that facility. For all we know, you know, foreign assets had access to that information. And even worse, we know the president, or at least based on what the president is accused of having done, if the facts are proven, right, we believe the president actually showed these documents to people who weren't authorized to have them. Now, that might not have caused immediate national security harm, but the potential is there, and it's significant enough. That's why we have laws against retaining this kind of information and showing it to people without clearances. There are laws against it, not just because it might get to a foreign national, but because you need to protect that kind of information. Mick Mulvaney, completely wrong on this front, Natasha.
Okay, I appreciate that. There are Trump supporters who are comparing this to Hillary Clinton or to the documents investigation of President Biden. In your opinion, is this different, and why?
You know, there are certain differences, right? Obviously, all 3 of these folks, including Vice President Mike Pence as well, so 4, had classified information stored inappropriately. In the case of Hillary Clinton, even more egregiously, these were transmitted over an open email server, a private email server. That's obviously hugely problematic. That being said, the president knowingly had these documents. He retained them even after being asked for them back. He didn't return them, and he withheld them. That's the key violation of law. And then beyond that, it appears, based on the facts again in the indictment, if they're proven true, that he took steps to not only keep the FBI and the federal government away from these documents, he kept his own lawyers away from them by moving boxes out of the room that he knew the lawyers were going to search. That just evinces a level of intent that is hugely problematic. It's going to be an uphill battle for him at trial.
Jamil Jaffer, it's always good to see you. Appreciate the context and time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Natasha.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.